All right. What do you got here?
I decided to bring in the new year by making us a very special old-fashioned cake. Now, what I made is an icebox cake. I was taught how to make it by my great aunt Ina.
She had an icebox.
She had an icebox. She was born in 1892. She had an icebox. She predated refrigeration. And so, in honor of Aunt Ina, who I still miss dearly, I present the icebox cake. Here it is. And, of course, have to put it on the uranium glass radioactive cake plate.
Let me see that light.
There we go.
Yes.
That works.
It's radioactive.
It is.
Like my orange juice.
Uh-huh. It's a really pretty plate, too. I don't get to use it very often. So we've got that. And then, of course, what are we going to serve it in?
Oh.
Yep. More radioactive glassware. So.
They didn't make any radioactive forks and spoons, did they?
No, but I have a radioactive honey dipper. It goes with a radioactive honey pot that looks like a beehive. Well, it looks like a bee skep, actually.
Okay.
But, so, let's cut into this cake.
Wait a minute. Let's see if we can get the light to reflect on that knife a little bit there.
It's a knife. That's a beautiful knife.
There we go. You can see a Damascus pattern.
Yeah, Alrighty, so you want to hold and I cut?
Let's take a look down here a little bit.
There we go. So hold it nice and steady. I'm just going to start by lopping off a corner. Just like that.
You don't do it straight up and down?
You can, but it's easier to cut them off on a corner. So,
I don't know, maybe I
there's
figured
our icebox cake.
maybe it's a special icebox thing.
There, so
Yeah,
there's...
well, the studio is outdoors and it's getting a little chilly, so
we're bundled up
a
little bit.
bit.
Okay, so there's one piece of icebox cake. And then I will get another piece of icebox cake. So we'll rotate a bit so you can see all the layers in the cake.
There's layers.
Quite a few layers, actually.
Okay.
Lots of layers.
Ice boxes have layers?
Maybe layers of ice. And they called it an ice box because it was literally an insulated box that you put ice in. The Iceman came. There we go.
And where did he get the ice?
Usually from a frozen lake.
From the Iceman.
The Iceman cometh.
The ice house.
What happened is in the winter when it is really, really cold, the lakes freeze, and so they'd have ice cutting parties. They'd go out, they cut big, huge blocks of ice. They get stored in the ice house, which has like straw and sawdust insulation. And then during the summer, the Iceman brings your ice, puts it in your ice box. So now we had a fridge when I was growing up. I wasn't actually of icebox era, but the name stuck because this would be the icebox cake.
You're not even as old as me. And I always had a refrigerator.
Yeah, no, we had a refrigerator. Yeah.
So if the ice is all gone before the lake or the river freezes over again,
then you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Yep.
You eat bread.
Well, we also had a root cellar though, and it was pretty cool in the root cellar. It's dug down into the ground, so it's about 55 degrees year round, so you can actually keep stuff there. We would have, and when I was growing up, we still had this, so we had our boxes, wooden crates full of produce and you layered sawdust in between your layers of produce so that like the apples don't touch each other, because the saying is one rotten apple sparrows one rotten apple, if I can,
one bad apple
spoils
but they always
the
say
bunch.
no, they say one bad apple don't spoil a whole bunch, girl. That's what they say, and that ain't true.
No, it will. It'll
It's-
touch
it-
the other one and boom.
So tell us about these layers here that I'm looking at.
So these layers, the way you make this is actually a no-bake cake. So you take a layer of graham crackers and you lay it down and you whip up some whipping cream. In this case, I flavored it with Ghirardelli Dutch processed cocoa, so it's good quality chocolate. Sweeten it however you want to flavor your whipped cream. So layer of graham crackers and then whipped cream on top, and then another layer of graham cracker, and you just layer them all up. And at the end, you ice the outside of the whole cake with your whipped cream. You could, decorate it, but it's usually a fairly rustic cake. Now, you can't eat it right away. It needs to sit at least 24 hours, and then that completely changes the texture.
So we got to come back tomorrow and do this?
No, we made it yesterday, or rather, I made it yesterday, so we could have it today.
Okay, because I like graham crackers, and I like chocolate.
So here we go. Let's go in for it.
And didn't you say something about the chocolate soaks into the graham crackers, making them moist and...
Yeah, so they're not crispy. They have a nice texture to them. He's never had an icebox cake before. What do you think?
It's pretty good.
Did my Aunt Ina teach me a good thing? Actually, technically, she was my great Aunt Ina. But we just called her Aunt Ina.
It's very sweet. Very chocolatey.
And you could alter how much sweetness you put in the whipped cream. So, this particular one, I actually sweetened it with monk fruit. So, it's sweet, but it's not super high in sugar. Yes, there's sugar in the graham crackers. But I didn't bother to bake my own graham crackers from scratch.
What exactly makes a graham cracker instead of just a cracker?
It has graham flour. It's a different kind of flour with a different taste.
I've always liked graham crackers.
Yeah, I love graham crackers. Now, can you taste what kind of graham crackers I used?
There's kinds? I did not know that. I just thought there was
Yep.
graham crackers.
Nope, there are different kinds of graham crackers. I can taste it. Of course, I know the secret.
I know I like graham crackers.
I used cinnamon graham crackers. So you've got chocolate and cinnamon reminiscent of Mexican hot chocolate.
Of course, you could always just sprinkle some cinnamon on regular graham crackers while making this, right?
You could.
And that leaves it open to doing all sorts of other stuff too,
You can
right?
slice up fruit. You can put fruit on top of your whipped cream.
No, don't do that.
But you could.
Don't do that. No. I know about crackers because I am one. No, I was waiting in line the other day with some guys, and there was a buddy of mine, a white guy, who's done some crazy stuff in his day, and then there was this black guy who seemed to have, we didn't know him, but he seemed to have a great personality, a great sense of humor and everything, and me and my white buddy were talking back and forth about some of the really foolish stuff we've done in our life. And trust me, we've done some foolish stuff. And, we're all broke up and we've had all kinds of broken bones and major injuries from it and everything. And this black guy's just kind of looking back and forth from one of us to the other, and you can see in his eyes what he's thinking. And when my buddy got called to go ahead from the front of the line, I looked at this guy and I said, yeah, us crackers do some crazy stuff. That guy laughed and laughed. He couldn't quit. I thought he was going to hurt himself. He was laughing so hard. And that's the thing, you know. If we can all just make fun of ourselves, we can make fun of each other in a good-natured way. That's like me and this guy, I still don't know his name, but we're like this now. We're buddies.
You bonded.
Because we had a funny moment that, you know, there would of course be people, white, black, whatever, that would see that conversation or hear that conversation and go, oh my God, that's racist. No, we're just two guys joking around with each other. It's nothing to get excited over. It's nothing to get concerned over. We're buddies now. So, I mean,
well,
make fun of yourself.
It's
not that difficult.
He might think we're crazy eating out of radioactive glassware.
I'll bet he would. But no,
a lot of people would think we were crazy eating out of radioactive glassware.
Me and this other guy were talking about skydiving and back when I used to do motorcycle stunts and light myself on fire, and yeah, I've done some crazy stuff. And like I said, this black guy was just like back and forth from one to the other, and you could see the gears turning in his head. He's like, man, these guys are out of their minds. Yes, we are. Thank you for noticing. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've been skydiving. It was amazing.
It is.
I would happily go skydiving again.
The third time I went, I got really, really scared. And I never went back.
What happened?
Well, I had to sit on the ground waiting for a long time to get a plane.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time while we were waiting around, the plane took up a large group of divers. And all white guys, of course, because we're the nuttiest people around. And they were going to jump out and form up in a star situation and do one of those kind of stunt things. This was back in the 70s, late 70s, okay? So it's not a lot of the stuff you see now, all this Red Bull stuff and everything. We weren't doing any of that stuff back then. This was right about the time that the square wing-shaped parachute came into effect. Started getting real popular. And this one guy, the last guy out of the plane, had a little trouble getting out because it was Beechcraft. Little tiny oval-shaped door, very difficult to climb out of. I know, I've jumped out of it before. And he had a little trouble getting out of there, so he was delayed. And so he tucked in and went in into a dive, head first. He's trying to catch up to these guys, right? Well, the thing is, they all linked up into a star. Somebody took the picture. They split up and started popping their chutes. Just as the opening shock happened on one guy's chute, he hit it head first, going way faster than that chute was going.
Oh, man.
And at that moment, that chute is very, very hard. And it knocked him out. And he was unconscious. We're watching. You know, binoculars and all that, and we're watching. He rolls off of the back of the chute and is falling. And he's not pulling his cord because he's unconscious. Anything under about 800 feet, it's too late. Well, he was probably at about 1,000 feet when he came to just enough to pull his cord. The opening shock knocked him back out, and he landed unconscious. So I'm watching this going on, and I got gears turning in my head. Like, should I really be doing this? This is kind of crazy. And I did. I went and I jumped. But it scared me. I was terrified. And I never went back. If I had gone back, I would have gone back with my friend Jim Sharon, who was one of the top skydivers in Southern California at the time. And he probably could have got me over my fears and got me past some of that stuff. But I'll just go do motorcycle stunts, light myself on fire. Safe stuff on the ground.
When I was, because I've only had the opportunity to do it once. Mine was a tandem jump. And so we take up, and as we're circling to gain height, we're going over a cemetery. What does he say? Don't land there. I hope not.
We're not going to come and get you.
Those headstones would smart. Yeah.
No, at the time that I was jumping, there was none of that tandem stuff. Your first time, you were by yourself. Just like in the military. You were on a static line. And the first time scared me because I had a slow chute opening. They said to count to 3. I came out of that plane, counted to 3, nothing happened. I counted to 3 again. I thought, maybe I didn't do it right the first time. Then it opened. I had about an 8-second chute.
That's pretty slow.
Scared the hell out of me because I didn't know what was going on.
You can fall quite a bit of different distance in 8 seconds.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that falling part. I never did have control of the free fall part.
Well, when I went with a tandem, now your instructor is strapped to your back, and you're joined kind of shoulder level and also hip level. So you jump out, and you're flat because you want to be flat initially to ensure that your chute is opening in the right direction.
And to slow you down.
And to slow you down. So that's fine, and I pulled the ripcord, and it shocks us upright, which was all fine and good and dandy. And then normally we would unhook at the hips so that when we're coming into land, we have some mobility in our lower limbs separate of each other. Well, our hooks jammed, and we couldn't get it unhooked. And so we came in kind of steep, kind of hot, and still hooked at the hips. So my instructor had me put my feet up as high as I could, and one of my feet actually caught in a rut in the ground and wrenched on my hip pretty good, and it caused me to do a face plant. But it was fine because we still have loft from the canopy. So yeah, I strained my hip. You know, if it stuck any harder, I might have broken my hip. But I've tripped and fallen harder than I actually hit the ground. Of course, my kids are watching all this, and they're going to school the next day, and my son's telling anybody, my mom jumped out of a plane, and she face planted. And then he gives his pause before he says, she's all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the things us crackers do. We're not the only ones doing it these days, but...
No. Anybody who wants to and is crazy enough, you can get a good qualified skydive instructor. And with the tandem jumps, it's pretty easy. I mean, there's been people in their 80s and 90s who've gone tandem jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tandem jumping, you got somebody strapped to you from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
That knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and if I had not pulled the ripcord, my instructor would have. And if for some reason we were both unconscious, we've actually got a height sensitive trigger. So you hit a certain altitude and it's going to deploy your chute anyhow.
Yeah. They didn't have those back when I was doing it either.
Which is you still aren't controlling how you're landing, but at least you're not landing completely sans chute.
Yeah, you're not going to splat.
I'd rather not splat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skydiving's kind of crazy, but it's also very cool.
Oh, so peaceful up there and beautiful. And I'm afraid of heights, but I was okay with skydiving because it's so high up. My brain didn't compute height. It was just like, wow, that's pretty.
Oh, one of my favorite parts of skydiving was hanging around on the outside of the airplane. Because my first jump was out of a Cessna 172. And you climb out, and you're holding on to the wing strut. You step out onto the wheel. The pilot has the brakes locked. And you're standing on the landing gear and holding on until the guy tells you to go.
Mm-hmm.
Being on the outside of an airplane like that, flying around, that's fun. You get a good view.
I was out there holding on, standing on the strut and holding on. And they said, "Are you sure? Are you ready to go?" You know, because I could have changed my mind. Well, no, I'm here now. I want to go. But the lizard brain didn't want to let go. So I had a death grip on it. So they just, poop, gave me a push and out we went. And I grinned like a fool all the way down. It was amazing. Anyhow, you think I should make icebox cake again at some point? We got enough to hold us for a while. It's good sized cake.
That's a lot of cake.
It is.
For 2 people.
Yep. But
I gotta make sure to get all the chocolate out of here, though.
it is an
Don't
excellent
want to leave
cake.
any behind.
Yeah, you could put all sorts of things in there, and you could also flavor your whipped cream different ways.
You could put cinnamon in the whipped cream.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a peanut butter ice cream cake.
Hey, you're helping yourself to my cake here.
You got plenty.
You're right, I do.
Peanut butter makes everything better.
Unless you have peanut allergy, but luckily we don't. Yeah. Anyhow, wishing you a very happy, healthy, and prosperous 2024. May it be better than all the ones that have come before.
All the 2024s that have come before.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a whole new year. Have fun.